We've started. Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, did we? Oh, did we now? Is that how we're doing? We started the show! All right. Hi, I'm Nathaniel. I'm already in a mood, and that's exciting.
And I'm No Sweeto, the black guy who sounds white.
Way to just make it about you, co-host.
I'm me.
Welcome to Film Nerds. I'm done. I'm done with this show. This is the final episode. No, I'm kidding.
But, that being, whoa, my mind is like, alright, but.
Really? It's 3 a.m. Why would that be?
Yeah, that is true. But, if you listened to last week, you know that this episode is going to be on Kong Skull Island, which, for some reason, people had an issue with.
People don't like it, and I don't get why. I mean, I guess, the human characters are a little dull, and the slow motion stuff is kind of like, what is happening?
But better than Pacific Rim Uprising.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because those were just like, need one of them sliding? What?
I still love your reaction to it, because it's like, watching you watch that is like watching you watch Wizards of the Coast, of just like just an absurd, joyous reaction just to hell. You know what I mean? Like, Uprising, you were like, this looks great, it's gonna be so good, and then not even a half hour in, you're like, this is bullshit, I hate it all, another thing happens, this is the worst crap, a worse thing happens, fuck me dad.
Because I don't know how you start off with that much potential and then just squander it to absolute crap.
But we're not talking about Pacific Rim Uprising this week, we are talking about Kong Skull Island.
Which is the exact opposite of utter garbage. It is.
I really love it.
I would say that it would have made a perfect sequel to Peter Jackson's Kong.
Well, I would argue that, it's on the same... If we're talking, quality, it's on the same quality level, to me anyway, as the 2014 Godzilla. But I feel like all people do is compliment that movie and then just shit on this movie.
Which there's no need for it, and it's uncalled for, because it's actually a very well-written movie.
I heard someone tell me once, I watched that movie on a plane, and being on a plane couldn't even save that movie. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
There really is nothing wrong with it.
No. It's a little corny. The characters can be a little flat sometimes, but it's like, you know what I mean? You're there for Kong, and Kong looks great, and I like his character.
I mean, if anything, I think the 2014 Godzilla would be worse because of the fact that it focused more on the story than the actual...
Than the monster!
Yeah, so...
That's the same thing that the Matthew Broderick Godzilla did. It's like, we don't care about the people!
Kill off the people. It's what you're good at anyway, so...
The one time character development was done well, and we actually cared about the people in a Godzilla movie that much, was the first one. You know? But that's because the whole movie was literally just a monster destroying a city, and we wanted these people to be okay, you know?
But the way that the original did it in such a manner was that they really got you to acknowledge that it was more of a telling of what was happening than this is about the character driven. There's a very big difference between having your characters tell from a perspective, even if it's not complete narrating, and then actually focusing on every little detail of their life. If they would have done it Brody's dad died, Ford's dad died.
You did it too! Okay, go. Yeah.
It's if Brody Sr., when he died, it's okay, we didn't need to make that so emotional. You could have skipped that whole story. You could have had I lost my wife, and you could have told a story for this perspective without all the dramatization of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it should be said as well, because I want to say it right now, because I don't know if it will be in the future when we talk about it. That being said, the original Godzilla is on HBO Max right now.
Along with one that you really can't find on DVD or Blu-ray.
Rodan.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Oh.
Because at least you can find that. I was going to say Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
I never can find that for anything under 120.
I got it with the Criteria collection that I have of the Godzilla movies. $126 for 15 movies. Hell Yes.
I was trying to look for a couple of good compilations of those movies and never could get one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was always like they'd have every movie, or they go in order and they just skip that one.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, you don't have one movie in between that series and then just skip it.
The one thing I will say, though, which is, it's good because it's the movies, but A, it's kind of weird because it's not, like, licensed, and B, as a quotation of that, I'm not sure how legal it is, you can actually, on Etsy, people, like, burn discs of, like, all the Godzillas and then sell it. Again, I don't know how in support of that I am, but it's a thing of, like, it might be the only way to see these amazing films.
It's the same principle of, like, the Blu-ray despecialized edition of all the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, do you want to see the movie or don't you?
Exactly.
And I mean...
Yeah, I'm torn. Because, like, on one hand, I'm not sure if it's legal, but on the other hand, this is art. And it's art that's really hard to find.
It deserves to be seen and not squandered purposely just because they want to make it a rarity, so whenever they release it such and such years, they can go, oh, it's for $200 for this. Like, and you can only buy it in a set.
Like, Rodan is on HBO Max right now. You said you got your DVD copy for $1?
Yep, at a pawn shop.
What's
when I was collecting all the
cheapest
Godzilla
you can
stuff.
find it now?
$75.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want that movie in my collection because, it's a part of history. But I'm like, fucking no. Like, I'm not paying that much. I can't. Like,
I'd love to give it to you, but I actually found that on a whim.
Yeah. If you had to, I know you'd give it to me.
Then I'd give you the spare copy for sure.
I mean, I don't know, because I got 2 copies of Mothra, and I didn't give one to you, so you might be grudging me for it.
A little bit. I did give you a second copy I had of my Final Wars.
Yeah. So you think I would give you...
And you did say that one was your favorite, and I did not want to part with it.
Second favorite movie of the Godzilla series. I still say Godzilla vs. Biolanta is my favorite movie. Fight me.
But I did contemplate that for literally a week, and I was like, do I want to give it? Because it is part of my collection. And then I was like,
Didn't you get, like... You got it on Blu-ray.
I did get it on Blu-ray, but I like to have a lot of my DVDs just to travel with me.
And I like when you just give me DVD, not to, like, sound like an asshole, which I'm going to, but I like when you kind of just give me stuff, even if it is DVDs, because I have a portable Blu-ray player that plays, like, the worst scratched DVDs ever freaking perfectly. Like, I swear, it's a gift from God.
See, and that's, like, the thing. I'm more prone to bring DVDs, but I'm more prone to actually be on my phone and look stuff up than I am to completely bring all these DVDs with me.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why I was contemplating giving it to you, because I'm like, what if I want to bring this with...
Somewhere, yeah.
So, but I gave it to you because I was like, you'll like it.
Yeah. So, Kong Skull Island, when did this movie come out?
This came out in 2017 in March, which was actually around my birthday, because for those of you who...
It hasn't been that long, has it?
No,
like, not
really
even
hasn't.
a 4-year-old movie.
And for those of you who do know, my birthday is on March 11th. Mm-hmm. So, this was kind of a very pleasant surprise when it first was announced, and I don't remember if I did get to see it in theaters or not.
Oh.
So that was kind of disappointing,
But great cast.
Great cast. And, I have my opinions kind of when it comes to Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, like I do about Star Wars.
Like her as a human being.
Like, a lot of the things of her as a person that she has said, I think are very unacceptable and not justified at all, and they shouldn't be sugar-coated as, well, it was just this. But her acting skills do hold up very well, especially in the movie, not The Room, but Room.
Yeah, Room. Room is amazing.
Yes, that is definitely, and I believe that's on Netflix if you want to check it out.
Check it out, 100%. And she does a great job.
Her in this movie.
What's that other movie I saw her in that was great? Unicorn Store. I really liked it.
I had mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, it was weird seeing Samuel L. Jackson with that much hair.
It wasn't that. It just felt kind of like, that's your debut as a film director? But I mean, I like the colorfulness of it, and I liked the message behind it.
Yeah,
I really like the message behind it. I guess the execution for me could have been better.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking through cast photos and I saw that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. We won't say anything beyond that, but
no, I guess for me it's just kind of like from things she said, but nonetheless, her in this movie was actually one of the few that I really do enjoy. For some reason, she was called Mason in this.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was her name. Was it not?
It was. I don't know why it's Mason Weaver. That's.
They don't really say her name much. They're just like, hey, like.
It's more of a male name, but whatever. We won't get into that.
It was a different time. But yeah. Regardless of our opinions on her as a human being, can't be denied. Great actor.
But
great actor.
Some of the nominations for this movie.
We got nominated for stuff? Hell yeah.
It was nominated for Academy Award for Best Visual Effects.
Yeah, I could see that.
Which it definitely was. Like I always will say, and it's not fair because Pacific Rim did set the bar very high. And in turn, I believe that was from Del Toro. I really think it's because of him because I feel like a lot of his movies like that, like even the trailer for Shape of Water, it looks too realistic.
It's a great film.
The sharpness, except for whatever the whatever man that falls down the chimney in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Oh yeah, because there's that's my issue with that movie is the two ones that they digitize. There's practical versions of that suit. And they have an acrobatic person who could contort themselves in such a way. I don't understand why they felt the need to make it digital.
I mean, it looks like shit.
It does. It looks like shit.
It looks like a greasy. It just looked bad. It looked wet and nasty and disgusting.
I don't like these adjectives.
Well, if you look at Wade Wilson in Deadpool, his face. His head, you could tell he's slimy and stuff like that because of the way his body is scarred. That's the only way he can really sweat. But, this is what that one horror character looked like, and it was just nasty. It looked like poor CGI mixed with a sweaty man. So, but, no, Kong Skull Island, the amazing effects, and the cinematography. I'm surprised this didn't get anything for cinematography. Cinematographers need more recognition.
They really do.
I mean, 1917 said it, but you can't just have it because it's a war movie and that makes it good. That you need to give credit where credit is actually due. Same with stuntmen, because without your stuntmen, your actors would not do half the crap that they do unless they know their own. But the Academy Award nominations for Kong Skull Island are for Best Visual Effects. I'm not going to read all the names.
No.
I'll just name the ones that I see for the actors. Teen Choice Awards for movie actor in the sci-fi category was Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, and one extra for an nobody's name for that. But this was a hell of a kickoff, I'd say, for introducing him, because if you know anything about Kong, you know he came before Godzilla by over 2 decades. Because
that is right, isn't it?
The original King Kong came out in 1933, and then we got the first Gojira movie from Japan in 1956. So there is more. That's 2 decades and 3 years before that movie came out and hit the screen. So that was very cool. And by then, Kong had already set the bar decently high with its I think it's cinematography, its practical effects, the way it looked. The Empire State Building with its claymation and stop motion was very good. I mean, you gotta admit, for the 1930s, that was super, super, super ambitious the way they did that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it actually looks real. So we'll probably eventually do that soon here.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is one of those that really deserves an episode, and I think a large reason why Peter Jackson's looked the way it did, and why it was such a masterpiece.
Yeah.
We kind of tend to ignore the Jeff Bridges version, except for the fact that he was in it where Kong is on the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of weird.
Jeff Bridges
was in the 1976 version.
Oh, that's right. He is.
And that was the one that Kong was on the Twin Towers for some reason.
Sure.
Which was kind of okay.
I mean, again, it was 79. They didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh, no, I'm not referring because of 9/11. It was an odd choice already.
As opposed to Empire State Building.
Yeah, if you're gonna remake it, why the Twin Towers? It was just kind of weird.
Let's do a different building.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what was the point of remaking it and doing a couple of things better than?
Yeah.
But no, and then
yeah,
there is the original Kong series, and I'm sorry that we're prolonging it, but I want to really get the King Kong movies out there so you guys can check out the originals. So you do have the original 1933 film. Which is currently on HBO Max if you guys want to go check that out, or for rent for $2.99 on YouTube, Google Play, Vudu, and Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. Again, very great movie. Look up the cast; it's definitely worth a check. And then we also get a sequel to this, which I believe we get Son of Godzilla. That's right.
Son of Godzilla. You mean Son of King
Or,
Kong?
I mean, Son of Kong, sorry. I was thinking about that, yeah. Son of Kong. And then we got King Kong King Kong Escapes in 1967.
Oh, that's with Robot King Kong.
Yeah, that was like the mecha version.
Mecha King Kong, yeah. I love that one.
The animation looks weird, though, because during that in 1963 is when King Kong versus Godzilla came out.
Yeah.
Which was the first really universal crossover between that was like the first shared universe movie if you really think about it.
It was groundbreaking. It was a Japanese movie character that had gotten to so much height of fame. It crossed over with a very, very popular
classic iconic
like American
monster
character.
Movie, which is kind of funny how Kong did the first monster kind of concept movie first. However, I don't think we would have perfected it as well as Japan had with Gojira. And that is the thing why Godzilla is the most go-to.
We made King Kong, and Japan 2 decades later was like, hold my beer.
Yeah. But I really think that the credit does go to Japan, because while King Kong is a monster movie, I don't think America really would have known what to do beyond that.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of
that's the thing with Japan. Like they make so many sequels, and they're all good for the most part. You know what I mean? Like,
even the ridiculous Godzillas, like we were talking about in the 2014, which are still really good.
Oh, there's some like
they're solid.
And like the older Godzillas, there's some parts that are terrifying. Like there's one where there's like this, and I don't enjoy the design of this monster because it literally just looks like a pile of tar with eyes. But it's all about pollution and stuff like that. So there's a scene where it's flying. And it flies over a bunch of citizens, and they're running, and like the second it flies over them, they all just collapse to the ground, and then they slowly turn into skeletons. And I'm like, that is terrifying.
There's some real nightmare fuel to these animations.
It's straight up, because like they're screaming in panic, and then it's just silence.
Like I'd say even the oxygen. What do they call it? The oxygen. Machine that they used in the first Gojira film, where they drop it.
They drop a bomb that takes all the oxygen.
There's a specific name for it, deoxifier or something.
It's all very imaginative.
The oxygen destroyer.
Yeah, that is clever.
Yeah, but I thought there was a more clever name for it that they had given it.
Probably not. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
But
anyways.
Yeah, so we got a couple of cool things. We got another movie called Kong Lives, which I believe is part of the Kong series as well.
Let's not forget the 2004 classic, Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Oh, I did include that.
You did? Oh.
Yeah. The masterpiece that it is.
Andy Serkis mocap.
Yes.
Anytime Andy Serkis does anything, I'm in.
And I'm going to say it because the wonderful Roger Clark explained to me, too, on an Instagram, I replied to a story that one of the
humble
things
brag
that you need to remember, and it is true, that motion capturing is not voice acting. No matter what part of it is,
still move.
You are still acting. It just is being turned into a digital version of said character. So it is not voice acting. It is acting. Period. No room there for negotiation.
Exactly.
One more thing that I wanted to read quick while we're talking on Godzilla, because I really feel like you need to watch kind of the evolution going into this of Godzilla if you can, and if you have the patience to do so. Queen Godzilla, which looks like was a Berlin ripoff. Queen Kong is a 1976 British-German adventure comedy film parodying King Kong. The film was never released theatrically in the United Kingdom due to the legal action by Dino de Laurentiis, producer of the 1976 King Kong remake, and RKO copyright holder of King Kong at the time.
Copyright laws.
So, this ain't no Turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
Or any other country that you think you can remake the same movie with the exact same.
I think it is Turkey. No, wait, what was the...
That you told me about that.
It was Turkish cinema. That they have no copyright laws, at least at the time of the documentary. I don't know if things have changed there. They have no copyright laws. So, literally the same movie will come out 5 times in a year with just different actors.
Yeah, which is disgusting, because we've already seen how that turned out. Wizards of the Lost Kingdom. What?
Yeah. I don't want to give you flashbacks. I wasn't going to bring it up. I know you have sleepless nights because you're just writing pounds upon pounds of emails to the people who made those who are still breathing. So
I just did Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Why did you make this movie and copyright it? Notice I calmly.
Exactly. So with that out of the way, we apologize to all of our listeners wearing headphones for that. Amazing cast for Kong Skull Island.
Yes.
Got Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson,
Brie Larson,
John Goodman.
Which, come on, it's John Goodman. Yeah. You can't go wrong there. John
C. Reilly.
Which, always a great choice.
Mm-hmm. Whether comedic or dramatic, he kills it every time.
He's
got that ultimate rage, man.
He's got that edge that
he can be in Talladega Nights and Gangs of New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got that Bryan Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool that they cast 2 unlikely characters that you wouldn't have really thought of. If you really hadn't watched Breaking Bad, you would have noticed that Bryan Cranston really sold it.
Yeah.
And again, he became a family man again, to a sense, and basically insane in the 2014 version. Which is kind of nice to see John C. Reilly, in a sense, kind of that same way.
Mm-hmm. But we got Sean Winningham. He plays Cole. He's great.
John Ortiz. I feel like he's a familiar name.
Oh, yeah. He's in The Office. Is he not?
I
thought he was...
No. He was an Oscar.
He was an Oscar?
No.
Oh. I'm just racist, I guess. I'm sorry.
But he was in Cloverfield Paradox, Horse Girl, Public Enemies, Fast and the Furious 6, Fast and the Furious, and Peppermint and Bumblebee, it looks like.
Yeah.
Just to give you a couple.
Good for him. But Corey Hawkins, I want to give a big shout out to Toby Kebbell for this one, because he's 2 characters. He's Kong. He does the mocap for Kong.
Which is always awesome.
He does great. And then he plays Jack as well. What is his full name here? I want to give a big shout out to Thomas Mann, because that dude is going places. We can both agree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I first saw him in a little indie film called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. It made me weep uncontrollably. Every time I see it, I still do. He's great. He's really going places. He's someone who I feel like we need to, for the purposes of getting him on the show before he gets too big, we need to, this show needs to get way more eyes. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Jing Tian is back. She was earlier this month as well in Uprising.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to note too is when you do look up the cast for Kong Skull Island, you're gonna see J.K. Simmons in it and Michael Keaton.
They were initially in the movie, but they were not after things happen. We're not sure what, but
they chose to opt out, which I don't think was a conflict between them. It's safe to say.
Dude, the extras is crazy.
Yeah, We got Nick Robinson, which was kind of cool too, but he was background.
Yeah. Richard Jenkins was background as well, unfortunately. Well, not really background, but more, he was in a scene as a senator. And we got Aaron from freaking from The Boys. What are you doing here? Good for her. Anyways, so you want to take us through the plot of this one, or you want me to do it?
We can alternate. I can start off.
All right, I'll just correct you as you go if it happens.
Wow,
go ahead.
I am trying to really kind of figure out where this starts.
Good to know. Well, while you're thinking of that, if you guys do want to watch it before, because we're going to spoil through it, you know the drill at this point. Go through the whole plot. You can watch it. HBO Max, Kong Skull Island is on there. A premium subscription with Hulu and Sling TV. You can rent it off Vudu, Google Play, Amazon Prime, YouTube, iTunes, and if you have TBS and TNT, it is free with cable. So, go ahead, pause it, check it out, or if you just don't care, hang around and
break it down for you.
Yeah. So, what do we start with, Noah?
How we start off Kong Island is really interesting. We started in World War II. Mm-hmm. And we see this American and Japanese, I believe.
Yep. American pilot and Japanese pilot.
Who they basically crash onto this island, and they are pinned against each other and get into a fight, in which the Japanese pilot almost succeeds in killing the American pilot, until we see a giant, hairy, furry arm reach onto the right side, and then another onto the left, and then a big face. And then we get a shot of the two stopping their fight and are like, what the hell is this? We are so screwed. And then we cut to the version of their modern day, which is in the 1960s, right?
Let me check the Wikipedia, because I want to get the exact date right.
I think it was
1973. 1973 is when this one is. With
still a bunch of 60s vibes due to the soundtrack.
So, yeah. Oh, yes. Please, if Vietnam era music interests you at all for whatever reason, for report or anything, look up the Kong Skull Island track list.
I think it gives you Apocalypse Now vibes.
It really does.
Because what I've seen, little of that.
Which is the perfect vibe.
Yeah. A lot of the shots you'll see in here, if you love the cinematography from, like, I haven't seen the entire thing. I think I'm about a fourth of the way through it, a little over, for Apocalypse Now. I'm watching the Redux cut currently. If you love those types of shots and the rising sun, just by the poster of Kong, you can tell it's got a very Vietnam vibe. It is absolutely incredible. So if you like that type of thing, that is the perfect way to go.
Which is an interesting choice as well, because the original one was and the Peter Jackson one was set in the 20s and 30s. So to have this one set in Vietnam era, it kind of changes the whole tone.
And I think the reason that they did that, well, because if you really think about it too, I mean, the Jeff Bridges one, I think was set in a 50s type setting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's all been
pre-era.
I don't know if we'd ever get a modern... Well, I guess we will later this year, won't we? But...
We can, but I think it's better because Kong is one of those who's really soul. He doesn't really fit in... Where, cause what we got for the beginning of, Godzilla 2014, we got a look at him through the years. But it was a compilation of little stuff. It wasn't actually him. You see him as the lizard with the nuclear blasts and see him kind of grow in through the years. Kong, though, I think taking the first step... because this is a big step too. With Kong, you got to remember that this is an American monster, as we stated earlier, and that it's the first big step into mixing itself into a kaiju universe that originally started in Japan and is now being adapted with Japanese themes and culture and American. So I think this is more pivotal because it's really kind of hard, I think, to give Kong the American feel while still finding a way for it to fit.
Exactly.
So I kind of really like the fact that it took a more 60s feel, even though it's in the 70s, the early 70s, late 60s, and gave the Vietnam War era
I do as well.
Because it felt proper, and it felt like that this was the right way when you would really start to discover a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. If they're going over to Vietnam and blowing stuff up and, you know, going around these uncharted islands, you know, a lot more exploration, then it makes a lot of sense that they would find just some random island that's like, oh.
Yeah.
Which we learn later that Goodman's character, Randa, has a lot of experience in how he speculates that these monsters, titans, still exist.
Yeah.
And why he's theorized for so long that they exist, and everybody calls him a crackpot and a nutcase. Mm-hmm. But basically, that's where, after we have the pilot fighter scenes, this is where it takes us up to that present moment in 1973, where we meet Bill Randa, and his assistant, Houston Brooks.
Yep.
Who's played by Corey Hawkins. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get the sense that Houston is, I would say he's
ambitious.
Questioning. He's ambitious, but I also think he's a little bit questioning of Randa's sanity as well. But I think he has enough faith in him and is open-minded with his ambition enough to accept the fact that it could be. And that's kind of the thing, like with Bryan Cranston too, in the first film. Not trying to recall too much, but I feel like this was what they were trying to do in such a short amount of time. And this really gives like an extended look into the superstitions of man trying to unlock the secrets of these massive titan beasts. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. But basically, Randa has been running this project, what was the name of the project?
Looking here.
Because that was one of the main points. They had a very specific name, and basically what they do is it's an organization that's run through the government that's kind of like I would say that's more of like okay, here's where your tax money is going to the government. Let's just throw it at that because we have too much and we don't want to give it back.
It's still, I don't know. It's still Monarch. Still the company Monarch.
Okay, it is the Monarch program.
No, it's, yeah. I'm on the Wikipedia right now. It does not say.
Okay, I think it was part of the Monarch program anyway.
Yeah, well, because they showed like satellite photos of the Skull Island.
Yeah, so it's part of the Monarch program and company, and basically, you know, with the Monarch program, their job is solely to check out these phenomenons and these superstitions of monsters and titans.
Yeah, because they want to just, you know, they don't want to hurt them necessarily. They just want to. They want to document them at this point.
Document them, see what they are, and assess the threat, and if they should worry about it or not.
Yep. If we're talking containment, termination, or leave it alone.
Yeah, which we all know that as a government in any movie, and probably in real life, it's let's just do whatever we want to do. So Randa's solely in this more for the fact of proving that they exist.
He wants to prove he's not crazy.
Yeah, which
if
is
not to anyone else, to himself.
And I could see that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of these people in real life and these characters go, is it's more about proving to the world that it's either a threat or proving for their own sanity that, yes, it exists. Yep. So then if you really want to call me a crackpot after that, whatever, I know what I saw, and I know that I'm sane, and I don't have to boast it in your face anymore.
Yep. Don't have to prove it to anybody but yourself.
The warning's there, and when it happens, don't be coming crying to me going, oh no, because I already told you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Houston, like I said, is ambitious. He's along for the ride, but he's also there to be Randa's, I think, biggest supporter in saying, hey, guys, this is the possibility. This is what's going to happen. But basically, they walk into a meeting, and they're basically discussing and show satellite photos of Skull Island, which, ironically enough, as the name says, looks like a skull.
A scary skull as well, not even just like a skull.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you've seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, how they kind of make stuff scary.
Yeah.
It's like intimidating. This looks like a death skull.
I wouldn't want a vacation there, personally.
Looking at it from above is like, this is you're screwed island if you come here. Which, exactly, as you figure out later in the movie, is the perfect explanation for this island.
Yeah. Nope. Not happening.
Very poor vacation spot. I'd rather take my chances on Godzilla's Island.
I would prefer personally for safety reasons the Fire Swamp. That'd be a little summer home.
I'd rather take my chances in the Fallout universe because at least you have something to defend yourself there, and
That direction is nothing but wolves, and to that way is the mining town of Smithers. I'd take my chances with the wolves.
Or the super mutants, which, that probably is as bad as skull crawlers.
Oh, God, worse. Skull crawlers. Can I just say before we really talk about them, I love their design, because their faces actually look like skulls. Are they blind? I feel like they might actually, not have eyes.
They do. Some of them have eyes. They're just really small.
Okay.
I think they blend in with their skin.
They do rely a lot on scent.
Yeah, well, I think that's more of an apex predator type thing. That they just use their ears more.
But the weirdest thing is they have 2 legs in the front and a long ass tail. They don't have 4. Or it's just I don't know.
But yeah, and I mean it's really cool how they get around because it's almost like a. I was gonna say kangaroo, but.
No, they kind of just drag and...
They kind of just drag their whole body on 2 feet, which is really cool. It's kind of like there's a certain animal that only walks on 2 legs.
Well, a lot of animals have been shown to be able to adapt to that, like
no, but
dogs.
They only have 2 legs.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of what that is.
Oh, an ostrich. No, I'm kidding.
It's going to kill me now, and I know I'm going to remember it later. But
yeah, you'll remember it at 6 in-the-morning. Okay.
Anyway... Very neat creature designs and very reminiscent of the kaiju monster still.
Mm-hmm.
It's both a mix enough to be American and Japanese kaiju.
Yeah, but next they recruit the soldiers, right?
Yeah, and so we end up going to a dive bar of all places.
Is that where? I thought they go to the base first to get Samuel Jackson's help.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pilots. Yeah.
We grab some pilots who are... One of them is played... The main captain is played by Samuel L. Jackson, which he killed this.
Yeah.
He plays Preston Packard. Mm-hmm. Preston is one of those characters that you... He starts off like an iffy character in terms of how you're going to feel about him. And we'll go into more detail about that.
Yeah. Yes, we will.
But, he leads this elite team, and like any soldiers, especially during this time period, they think that they're invincible, that the U.S. is everything, and that we are the top, and that's all that matters, which I find kind of funny, and I kind of like, because of the fact, the way that he's the leader and he's black. Because I almost highly doubt, even in Vietnam, that blacks would have ever had that type of rank.
Sure.
I mean, minus the fact that he did have a couple of black people in his platoon. So I kind of found that a little bit interesting. And I could be wrong on my history, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, Randa and Houston go to a dive bar to find themselves a basically tour guide. They need
a survivalist tracker tour guide and a photographer as well.
Yeah, which is how we meet Captain James Conrad, who's played by Tom Hiddleston. I was almost about to say Captain Hiddleston.
Captain James T. Kirk.
But Captain Hiddleston sounds like a cool name.
Captain Hiddleston does. Cool dude. I'd hang out with him. He wouldn't hang out with me, but I'd hang out with him. We see him beat the crap out of 2 guys in a bar.
Yeah, these 2 Asian dudes try to attack him.
Because they accuse him of cheating at pool, I think.
Which is what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. So he, shoves the stick into one of their mouths and breaks it off. And it's just he has the cold face. And it's I think that's the guy.
Which was kind of cliche, but still cool. It wasn't overdone. One of them was going to pull a knife, so it was kind of eh.
Yeah.
But what else would you expect for a survivalist? You got to be somewhat paranoid. If you're going to be going in uncharted territories and stuff with all sorts of weird animals, you got to be prepared for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Have your senses heightened. And so we get to meet him, Randa and Houston kind of break down what the mission is, what they're going to do, and what they're looking at and why they need him. And
my favorite is him saying, like, so here's how you're going to die.
All the ways you're going to die. And he goes, if the bugs don't get you,
He's
and
like,
the disease don't get you, the animals will.
He's like, if it's too hot, if it's too cold, what kind of terrain we're dealing with. Like, just
if you get stranded, and on and on and on. And they're just kind of sitting there like...
he goes, we haven't even gotten to the animals that will eat you.
Yeah, to which Houston's like, and I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to say it because this is how I would think. I'm black. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to die first. And I'm not getting paid enough for this possibility to look for monsters.
Right.
Whereas Rand is like, okay, shit, what if what I saw is what I saw, then that's not going to matter.
Well, and he also, like, he has the thing of, like, they slide him money, and they're like, okay, we'll double it. And he's like, no, I'm going to need 5 times that and a bonus if we get back.
Which Rand is like, okay. We're pretty sure that our superior will compensate you nicely.
The guy helping him goes, if.
Yeah,
like,
Houston.
Like, you don't even know this is dangerous yet, moron. Like,
yeah. Which, I love Houston, because he really is just like, dude, I did not sign up for this.
No.
I am not going to die on an island for your monster.
He has, like... he has a thing I've noticed in this movie. He carries around a shotgun when they're on the island. He cocks it about 3 times. How many times does he actually shoot that gun?
None.
Yeah. Okay, just checking.
I don't think he shot a single time.
Because when he does actually shoot one, he uses the gun that they attach to the boat.
Yeah. That's the only time I think we ever see him use a gun. Other than that.
Yeah. But, in any case.
Just kind of funny. I did say that he was played by Corey Hawkins, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. After that, that's when we kind of get to meet Brie Larson's character, who's Mason. I can't remember, why am I drawing a blank on her last name? Weaver. Mm-hmm. We get to meet Mason Weaver. She's the photographer who will be taking all the pictures, in which one of the brilliant things that I did love about Kong Skull Island is the fact that all the photography that we do see is... it's like photography within photography. It's very awesome that the way that they did this. And a lot of the flight scenes are amazing too.
Yeah.
So after we get our whole crew together, basically Randa, Houston, James, and Weaver, along with Preston, all go out with their platoon, into which we get a couple of awesome soundtracks as they're gearing up and getting ready to go and flying into the island, which on their way to the island, they have a very bad storm. Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you'd have to be trapped on any plane with any celebrity, because of my comment of, I don't think I ever want to be with Samuel Jackson on a plane because of all the dangers.
Literally, you'd survive, like 9 times out of 10, you'd survive.
We're still at 1% odd, though.
Yeah.
But he kind of goes a little nutso going right into it.
They're like flying the helicopter because the island's surrounded by an infinite storm that's shooting like red lightning. So they're like flying through, and he's like talking about Icarus, and I'm just like, is he having a stroke? What's going on?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of creepy shit, and everybody's just sitting there like, dude, shut up.
No, it helps them. I feel like it helps them get through it.
I feel like it both helps them just to hear they're superior, but also at the same time, it's like, can you talk about something else? Like, anything else than creepy death stuff?
Creepy death stuff. That is how it's defined, isn't it? No.
But after we get a clear storm, or we clear the storm, and we get a beautiful shot of the island, which, you know, for compared to what's on the ground, you know, the best part of your vacation is going to be never touching the ground.
Seriously. You'd
be better off sleeping with both the doors open on a helicopter and being like me, who rolls around in their sleep. You have more chances of survival hitting the water and breaking all your bones than you do of stepping on that ground for 5 minutes to a day.
Mm-hmm. But we found out earlier they're going to do
seismic charge, basically.
They're going to drop seismic charges, which, for those of you who don't know, essentially, you drop bombs so you can use the vibrations and the sound waves to map out the island. Or it kind of kills things, but
unless well, nowadays we have stuff. I mean,
we have sonar now.
We have sonar, which is one of the coolest things about Batman Arkham Knight. But continue.
Yeah. So they're dropping bombs so they can map out the island easier in these helicopters. And they're doing it to some odd, I think, are they doing it to Time Has Come Today? I think they might be. I'm not sure.
I think so.
But whatever the case, whatever song they picked, they picked the right one. Let's be clear. But as they're doing it, like, the song is just going, and it's this montage of, like, them dropping bombs. And then you just see a tree, like, just flying and hits a helicopter.
And for basically there, everything goes to shit. A lot of the helicopters crash into each other. Kong grabs a couple of them.
He grabs some of them by the blade, and he realizes, ow, that hurts. Like,
yeah, and then it just kind of pisses him off, because he's like, really?
Yeah.
What are these?
Mm-hmm.
And eats a couple of soldiers, kills a couple of soldiers.
My favorite is the dude with the country accent who just goes, "Is that a monkey?"
Yeah, which is like, I'm sorry.
That was a choice. That was a choice.
It's just the intelligence in his voice. It wasn't the accent. It was just so much the intelligence.
Lack of intelligence, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, you really are a jarhead.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't feel bad when he went.
Nah. I felt bad that he had a kid.
Yeah, obviously for parents. I mean, obviously you'd feel bad for any human being, but in terms of movie characters dying, it was kind of like, okay.
You know what I mean?
Kind of dumb, but sad they still like kid.
The opening.
But yeah, so we basically, with what little survivors that we do have.
Yep, we got a few soldiers: Samuel Jackson, John Goodman, Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson. Houston, right? Or what is his name? John Goodman's assistant.
Yeah, Houston.
Yep.
Jack Chapman. Oh yeah, you said that. I remember everybody. There's
some scientist guys. There's what's her name? The girl who's also in Pacific Rim Uprising.
Let me go back here.
No, I got it.
Sand.
Yeah, Sand. What does she do? Is she just an assistant? Or
I'm pretty sure she's just an assistant. She really had no purpose.
She points a gun like nobody's business.
It was really sad that she really didn't have any reason.
I think she also worked with Monarch, because we see her at the end with Monarch.
Yeah, I believe she was just there as a consolation.
A consulate, yeah. Because probably Monarch's local, because they have all around the world. So
yeah, so I don't think beyond that she was really anything more special.
She didn't get explained much, which made me upset. But
it really just didn't make a lot of sense just to have a character there, because that part, it just felt like they were throwing in an Asian person for the culture of it.
Well, and I feel like it would make... But my issue is that they didn't explain, like, her job that much. They were just like, she's here now. And I'm like, what? Like, give her more than that, please. Like,
yeah, it's some explanation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they're kind of... We're split off into some groups. We got some Jarheads and John Goodman. And then one... The youngest military guy and everybody else. And we got Toby Kebbell's character. He's by himself.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because there's a lot of army soldiers that just get killed off pretty quickly.
Yeah. There's a lot of red shirts in this one, I will say.
Yeah, but basically, kind of, because it does gruel on a bit. It's one more of those things that you do have to watch to kind of understand.
Yeah. We're not going to go through each individual character when they die. That's a lot.
It's one of those parts of the movie. But basically, we get a couple of great shots, but
we get a giant spider. Spider scene.
One of the spiders of the island has a body, or its legs look like bamboo.
Yeah, so they don't even notice it at first.
Yeah, until it moves its legs
and then impales a dude straight through the mouth. Like, I know I shouldn't have laughed.
But it was just the sudden, like...
Huh? Like...
Comic of it, like... Did he just... Yeah. Why is he...
Yeah.
Oh!
And they're shooting at it, and then one guy gets the bright idea. Cut its legs! Like, yeah!
Which, I don't think it purposely stepped on him either.
No.
That was the part that pissed it off and made it attack more people. So it's kind of like...
My favorite bit is
really?
Samuel Jackson goes up to John Goodman's character when they find him, and he goes, "Hey, glad you're okay. I was worried about you." Sits on a rock, points a gun at him. "Tell me everything we don't know."
And to which Rand is like,
yeah,
you know what you need to know. And you know everything that I know. There's a monster here. I was on a platoon boat at one point, and we saw one of these monsters, which we assume...
I would assume it's Godzilla.
Because it was out in the water.
Yeah. Which maybe they pissed it off.
And they really don't explain any other monsters because, like you said, and from what I remember, there are a couple of monsters
There's
that are
seaworthy. There's a couple seaworthy.
Yeah, there's a couple of that go through the sea in the Toho movies. Some of the kaiju, but really there hasn't been any major... But, I mean, during this time film, too.
Yeah.
During the time this was released, and with the King of the Monsters... There really wasn't any that swim underwater, so
yeah,
it was more probably like
the only other two ones we knew of were the Mutos. It's like, no, it's not them.
They're land, and I think we get a couple of news articles about some of the military getting bumped and whatnot in the '60s in the beginning of 2014. So I think it was most likely Godzilla.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But basically, Randa tells him about that, and that the whole purpose of coming to this island was not just to explore it. It was on a secret mission to prove that monsters exist, in which that Preston gets a little pissed off due to all of his men.
Because Monarch was on the verge of getting shut down.
Yeah. And not to mention all the people that died.
Yeah.
However, Randa never said once, let's drop a whole bunch of bombs on an island that could have had people on them so we can get a reading of the island. So in a sense, Randa doesn't exactly feel responsible because, again, it's like you should just have the common sense that we are exploring something, so that doesn't mean just drop bombs willy-nilly.
Exactly.
So a lot of...
like, when we meet John C. Reilly's character, he says it perfectly. It's like, okay, if someone was at your house and started throwing rocks, I think you'd be pissed.
Yeah,
like that's essentially it.
You don't get to come into someone's home, start destroying it, and then be pissed off when they rebel.
Kong's the king of the island. You started blowing up his island. He's going to kill you.
Yeah, and I love the part that you know his character defends how Hank Marlowe. I love how he defends Kong.
Yeah,
because he's really, when they find him, he's with the native people on there that worship Kong. And he's there for
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been there for 28 days, 11 months, and 3 weeks, if I remember right. Or, I mean, 28 years, sorry.
28 days, 11 months, and 3 weeks.
Sorry. 28 years, 11 months, and 3 weeks, if I remember.
I'm sorry. Yes. He was the pilot we saw earlier. And we do find out that he and the Japanese guy didn't become friends. And he buried him there. And he calls him his brother and, like, takes his sword. And I'm like, oh, see, they did. I was like, I'm going to call it. They're friends. Yeah.
Yeah, which was a nice touch that they finally worked out, like, let's try and get home. The only sad thing is that they both wanted to get home. And it seemed that Hank and them agreed that, you know, the one thing we do if we could go back to America is watch the baseball game.
He wanted to go to Yankee Stadium opening day with a hot dog and a cold beer because he says Brie Larson is more beautiful than that.
Yeah.
Or no, Cubs, because he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
So it'll be Shea Stadium, I think. I don't know. I know some baseball, but it's been a while.
But the basic thing is he wants to live what would be called the American dream back then, which is going to a ball game, just enjoying yourself, having fun. Mm-hmm. And being on an island where there's practically nothing, even with people who don't really speak English. And it's really interesting that, you know, Hank really understands the natives by...
They just look, and he knows what they're saying.
Yeah, eventually catches on. It's body language.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But he ends up forming a very good bond with these individuals, with these natives. And these people accept him as one of their own.
Yeah. I feel like they were sad when he left.
Yeah, he basically talks...
If you're ever in Chicago, look me up. I love that line.
But what makes it so sad or funny in a sad way is because you can see him tearing up. Because basically...
This has been his home for 20 years.
Hank talks to them into letting what little the group came to the natives' place stay there. In which then he shows the soldiers and stuff, the platoon... that came over to him.
The story room, yeah.
He shows them what he's been building a boat out of both the planes that crashed on the island.
Well, he explains to them Kong how he's king on the island, and he protects them from the skull crawlers, which, thanks to the Americans dropping the bomb, are awake.
Yeah, they were asleep. In which we learn that the big one, the big bitch...
She killed Kong's parents.
So Kong has a bit of a vendetta.
Is Kong like a teenager? Or a young adult?
Yeah, I think he'd be like about mid to young adult, because he's still growing. And if you've seen the trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong, he is
massive now. I'm so happy for him.
400 feet.
I'm like, good job, buddy. You did it.
Yeah, and I think in here, he's not even as big as Godzilla. He's probably at least 235 feet if I were to estimate it, if you were to put them side by side. I know that Godzilla has grown since his first film, too. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Kong gets, like, another 200 feet on him. So it really shows, like, he's not done growing.
No. Yeah. We got to see Kong kill an octopus.
That was cool. That was one of the scenes as they made the repairs on the boat and were able to...
Yeah, because the boat that they have, that John C. Reilly's character made, it's retrofitted out of the old planes that him and his now friend were flying.
Yeah, so, and then he needs a couple of extra hands, because obviously the natives don't really know anything.
They're not adept to technology.
And they really probably don't want to mess with it, just for the fact of, like, we don't know it. We don't want to touch it. Yeah,
exactly.
Which makes perfect sense.
When he also says that the villagers are so wise because they're like, no one has their own like home. Like they're beyond such things. They're just a community, you know?
They're there, and if they have to move, they have to move.
Yep.
So basically, they repair that. They start to head towards meeting the other part of the platoon of soldiers.
One dude gets picked up by some birds.
Yeah, which is the annoying case guy, which is John Ortiz's character, Victor.
Oh, I'm sorry I laughed so much. It's just because he was like, yay, we're going to make it. Ah!
And then he gets his arm ripped off.
Well, he gets picked up by him, and then they start playing tug-of-war with him as the sun is setting. And I'm like, the frick is this shot? Like,
it was one of those Vietnam shots that just didn't belong.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was kind of like if you've seen The Force Awakens, that TIE fighter shot in Takodana where the sun's setting, all of a sudden you get TIE fighters.
I feel like maybe it's kind of like it was written as kind of like, you know, a message of the audience of like, yeah, the sun is setting, but let's not forget that there's
peace doesn't exclude the danger.
Exactly, like you're almost out of here, you got your way, but let's not remember where the fuck you are.
You're gonna be screwed if you just go, oh yay, like Victor did. But the thing that I didn't mind Victor dying is because he was annoying.
Yeah, all he did was complained.
Moan. Oh, you're doing that? Oh, we're never going to get off. We're never going to get home.
I want to see my family. We all do. Just shut up.
I was like, dude, stop whining and do something.
Yeah. But
I would have put down that damn briefcase. Even when he died, he didn't even drop it.
Exactly. But they meet up with the other guys.
They meet up with the other guys after they shoot up a flare. And from there, they are about to proceed to the other part of the island, to the rendezvous point, which they only have 3 days to make.
Now two. And then we get Preston, who's very eager and says that to avenge Jack's death, who Jack Chapman... Well, they don't know that he died yet. Remember? Yeah. They're on their way to go pick him up.
Yeah, they were saying that we want to go get him. We can't leave without him.
We're not leaving a man.
And Jack Chapman had earlier gotten eaten by one of the skull crawlers. So Preston has this obsession to go find him, and they end up going after... Hank tells them, no, that's where the skull crawlers are. You're going in the opposite direction. They basically go the opposite direction, end up in the sea of gas, the green sea, as I'll call it.
Mm-hmm. It's a graveyard. It's Kong's dead parents.
Yeah, it's a mass grave. Into which they go through after Hank specifically said, no, this is death. This is suicide. You're being stupid. Mm-hmm. And they proceed to do so anyway. And basically the skull crawlers end up...
It's a massacre.
Yeah, they basically are residing around there.
Yeah.
Randa dies. His camera malfunctions because he can't stop.
Oh, yeah. He's taking the picture and he goes, oh, shit. And he gets eaten, and then you see the camera going through the thing's digestive tract. And you can also see it when it's hiding in the smoke. You just hear, like, you see a flash.
Which is, like, I compared it to Jaws the Revenge. It was a more masterful version of what that final battle should have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the paranoid of every time it moved, every couple of seconds, the camera would malfunction. Mm-hmm. Which I was hoping Rando would do what Ron Perlman did in Pacific Rim and just cut himself out.
Seriously. Because I like John Goodman. He's great.
Rando was a great character.
He kind of died unceremoniously.
He died ironically, too.
Yeah. But they fight him and pretty much don't do anything, really.
Yeah, except
John Goodman freaking cuts him like crazy.
You mean Hank, John C. Reilly's character?
That's what I meant. John Goodman just died. That's what I'm thinking about. John C. Reilly cuts him up like crazy.
And then throws the sword to Tom Hiddleston, but not before. One of the things that we do have to note, too, is that...
poisonous gas canisters broke.
Well, not just that, too. The other part is that we have... we get a shot of the Skullcrawler coming in, and it burps up Chapman's skull.
Yeah, and his dog tag's there. So we know he's dead.
In front of Preston. So,
not in front of Preston, it's in front of Tom Hiddleston.
That's right. And so basically they get massacred the rest of the way. We get a badass shot of Hiddleston's character basically
he saves someone. Through. Who does he save? I can't even remember.
I don't remember. It was one of the lackeys.
I think it was the youngest guy.
Yeah, probably.
With the bandana.
Slivko.
Yeah. But it's a cool, like, slow motion through some green smoke, cutting monsters in half.
Toxic gas with the gas mask, so it's really cool. I don't know if they kept the katana, though. He just stabbed into the ground, which is kind of stupid. It was
keep the knife placed.
Keep the samurai sword that was a memory of Hank's time on the island.
Yeah, like, Hank didn't tell you could do that.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that's an honored memory.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird thing, story-wise.
Which, if you know anything about Asian culture, you know that a lot of them, from what I understand back then, swords were...
It was their life.
Was their life.
It was like the Jedi with lightsabers.
It was an extension of them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, though, we get Preston insisting on going to the other part of the island.
Because he's like, we're going to kill Kong.
Yeah, and that's what...
John C. Reilly flips. Oh, so he didn't leave the sword.
Did he bring it with him?
Well, yeah, because when he says we're going to kill Kong, John C. Reilly
that's right.
the sword on his neck.
That's right, yeah. And and Cap and James Conrad always suspected that's what Preston was up to all along, was getting revenge. So they proceed to try and do so, which results very terribly in them knocking down Kong with lighting him on fire. And then
Kong is in the lake and they had gas in it, so they just light him on fire, but nothing doesn't do.
No, he goes back down for a while because he's not used to the amount of pain, so his body probably went into shock. Not enough to kill him, but it was this is different.
This is interesting.
And he basically kills all the men, and then Preston goes, "Die." He kills
all the nameless people. Bam,
and
splash.
Then which was funny because we all know that it wouldn't be a Samuel L. Jackson movie
without him almost saying
motherfucker, or saying it or not saying it.
Yeah, they did that in Infinity War too.
Yeah. Oh, mother. And then he just disappears.
Yeah. But the big skull crawler comes out, and we know that because Hank goes, "That's the big one."
Yeah. Which looks less scary because of the fact that the smaller ones can hide better, but
it's it's the fact that it's giant and it's all black.
And it looks the same. Yeah. It just looks like a bigger version. I think that's what killed it for me.
You thought it'd have more legs or
I thought it would have a different design, make it sharper teeth, make it more intimidating.
I mean, it's like the mom. So it's not going to look that different from its kids.
I know. I just was expecting it to evolve a bit more, being like an evolution, the bigger they get.
Sure. I got
you. The alien queen, the xenomorph queen, looks different than the xenomorphs.
I got you. Okay.
So, I was thinking of something not big, but enough to go, oh, okay.
But while Kong's fighting, they all start running to the boat. And then it starts chasing them, and then Kong catches up with it to kill it. And, it's a really cool climactic fight scene. Because we get the people shooting at the monster, helping on the 50 guy. We get the guy dying very unceremoniously, because he's go, and he, unclips grenades thinking the thing's gonna eat him and he's gonna blow up inside.
Cole,
yeah, but she's smarter than that. Tail whips and he flies into a mountain and blows up. But it's
At least he was noble enough to do that, though.
Yeah, but it is a thing also of, like, I understand why they did it with that character. Because that character, with all the dialogue he said about his past experiences, who he's killed and who he hasn't killed, like, he's been in the war such a long time, like...
He has nothing.
Yeah, he wanted to die.
And he said that, like, I have nothing to Slivko. He goes, you have a family. I have nothing.
Yeah.
So...
But then, like, my favorite bit is when Kong pulls out the tree, takes off all the branches, and just has it as, like, a spear. And he's just like, smash, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome. He really beats the shit out of it. And you get the sense that this is also for his parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he, like, tears its tongue out and, like, breaks its jaw. Like,
yeah, there
really
is a
goes
scene
to work on it.
Where a lot of what Brie Larson's character did, Weaver ends up shooting a flare from a cliff. Earlier, before we got to the final battle where they try to blow up Kong, she connects with Kong kind of like the original girl did in the original incarnations.
Yeah.
But she helps out Kong. She ends up falling during the battle.
And he picks her up.
He picks her up, puts her on the island, into which, you know, James resuscitates her?
Yeah.
Question mark? She kind of just woke up on her own.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But basically, Kong rips out the tongue of the Big Mother, walks away. They get back to the island.
He kind of looks at the ship while it's leaving.
Yeah.
Stoically.
And then just kind of walks away like, okay,
yep.
But don't bring shit back to my island.
Exactly, like...
I helped you.
Don't start none, won't be none. But then during the credits, we see that Hank, he got reunited with his wife, and also he got to meet his son,
who's 20 years old now, because...
He heard... He's like, the last letter I got a week before was... My wife said that she just gave birth to our son.
Yeah, before he crashed on the island.
Yeah. But he also said, like, oh, even if I don't meet him, I'm still going to be happy to just be home, you know? Because he hasn't seen America and, like...
Or his American dream. But he understands that time does stuff to people. And that it's easy to move on to think someone's dead. Mm-hmm. And that it is still hard. But he's like, I'd be okay with that because...
Even if I don't find them. Yeah.
Because I'm more happy that she'd be happy.
Exactly. Which, good on him. Again, he's a character that would be so... It would have been so easy narratively to kill him off, and I'm glad they didn't.
No, and I'm glad that they made him so understanding, too. He wasn't just a dick like, well, if she's... It was like, I understand, because I've lost everything here, too. Mm-hmm. And I had to... Because when they first meet him, he's like, I had to live with the possibility that there's a good chance I'm never making it off this island.
Yeah. You aware of how much I jacked up? No, I'm kidding. Cut that out. Bleep that. No.
But no, it's a very touching moment, and then we get a shot of James Conrad and Mason Weaver. They're being interrogated.
Yeah, we get the end credit scene
in which Weaver's being defiant about talking about.
She's like, I won't tell anything to the Russians, and she goes, I will tell the Russians, and he's like, all right, well, she'll tell the Russians. I won't. Like,
yeah, she's just being defiant. She's like,
she's also. Keep in mind, she's a war photographer. You know, like, she helped stop the war with a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and one of the greatest lines that Preston did say, cameras are more powerful than any gun.
Yeah. More dangerous, I think he said.
Yeah. And it's true.
Yeah.
Because it's evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then Houston and Sand come in, into which they talk about the upcoming battles coming, which we get
Kong's
our first...
not the only one. And then we see some slides.
Yeah, one of them being the ancient hieroglyphics of
Godzilla.
The second fight battle between Ghidorah and Godzilla, which sets up the King of the Monsters.
Which we will talk about next week.
But anyway, we know that this is a bit of a...
Bit of a long one. We apologize.
Bit of a long one, a little rushed.
We just love this film.
But it is one of those things that you kind of do have to watch beat by beat. It's a very slow... It's kind of a slow burn.
A little bit, but it's not a bad thing.
No. Slow burns can mean a lot of things. Just because it has the word slow does not mean anything. If you guys have listened to the podcast or listened to our other episodes, Summer of 84...
Sorry.
Then you also know that... Summer of 84 was a slow burn.
Oh, yeah.
But with an immense plant and payoff. It paid off.
And Kong Skull Island paid off.
Yeah, and it was unexpected. Both have very unexpected endings for certain characters. So it was nice. And we will do King of the Monsters next week. Hopefully, guys, you still enjoyed it. Hopefully, you'll go out and actually watch it, because I think that would mean a lot more to you guys.
Yeah.
and it will be a little bit easier than breaking it down beat for beat because it gives you a little bit more reference to visually see the characters because there's plenty of them that they don't really give names.
Yeah. Location scouting.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Whoever did that was very, very good. Mm-hmm. But without further ado, that has been Film Nerds Hour.
Yep. You know where to find us. Instagram, Facebook.
Yep, just under Nerds Hour, there's a group, public, for Facebook. We can approve you. And as of the time that we are recording... Spotify, Anchor, YouTube. You guys can listen to this. And if you are listening on either one, congratulations. If you're listening to anything other than that, at the time of this recording, we don't have any plans to release on any other streaming service. So
but again, that is up this time. So
yeah, that could change. If you are listening to it and you have us official, great. If you're listening to somewhere else, tell them they're probably not supposed to do that.
If there's a place you would like for us to get on, let us know. Email us.
And he's been Nathaniel Shoemaker.
He's been Noah Sweeta.
And this has been Film Nerds Hour. So long, everybody.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.